So you've seen the title, and yeah, for some reason this has become an insult to hurl in somebody's direction. Now this is nothing new for the man once known as Eli Drake, because even when he was walking the walk and talking the talk in other promotions, people would point their finger and go, okay, cool, well it looks good, but I think this is some kind of manufactured charisma. What? I don't know what you're talking about. This is the same kind of people that go, okay, well we're booing Dominic Mysterio, but we're only doing it because it's fun. Have you forgotten what professional wrestling is? It's meant to be entertaining. It's meant to make you feel warm and fuzzy in your tum-tums. Even if you do want to go, boo, Dom, boo, you dirty condom, I hate you. Well, if you're having a good time, everybody wins. I mean, it's the same logic you get from some schmoes that go, this Batman game wouldn't be very good if Batman wasn't in it, when Batman is flipping in it. And do you know who else got this? Mr. Kennedy. Kennedy. That was another reason why people went, he's not the real deal. He's just got something, but it's not the right thing. I swear it hurts my head. But if he hadn't fallen foul of some personal issues, that dude would have flown. And I tell ya, LA Knight, which obviously we're going to talk about today, he is in the same position, and I think he's going to make it. Now let's take his yeah catchphrase that I have now annoyingly done twice. Now usually in the WWE, you will just stumble across a catchphrase organically, but because LA has been plying his trade for a good old time, he already did this a long ass time ago. Do you want to know what the criticism was then? Well, that will never get over. Yeah, sure, it's doing really badly at the moment. Some folk do not let this go, and all of a sudden Ryback gets moved into the conversation when they're like, yeah, but people just wanted to go feed me more because they enjoyed the chant and not the actual fella behind it. Well, look, I have just come back from SmackDown and Money in the Bank from London in the United Kingdom, and I heard the chants and I heard the noise, and believe you me, people are basically in love with LA Knight. I mean, when he didn't win the briefcase, people were genuinely upset. I mean, you do not throw your 20-pound, that's right, 20-pound burger on the floor unless something you're watching has just pissed you off. You could have eaten it. And tying into the title of this video, sure, and something that Kevin Nash said recently, can you sit down and watch La and go, well, he kind of feels like he's ripping off The Rock? Yes. But do you want to go through Hulk Hogan or Ric Flair or any number of greats who borrowed from the people of yesteryear? That's just how wrestling works. Also, if you're a brand new wrestling fan, you may not remember Dwayne Johnson from his wrestling days, so why the flub wouldn't you use him as an inspiration? One of the best mic workers ever. Oh, let's just put him to one side and forget about it. Stone Cold Steve Austin's influence can also be thrown into this mix, so you're trying to tell me you have a problem that LA Knight picked two of the all-time greats and thought, well, they did something well, maybe I should look into it. It's not a criticism. Even if it wasn't working, I would still understand. Also, wrestling is cyclical. Somebody may as well do it. I mean, for starters, Knight has made it his own, but also, again, these two dudes haven't been around for 20 years. So you can't just shelve everything they've done and forget about it. Somebody should be tapping into it. But I think Knight is actually a genius for tying into this, because if it worked now, it will work then. And once more, I just saw 20,000 people losing it for this guy. So whatever he is doing, he should definitely keep up and ignore all this nonsense. And look, no, this wasn't the case back in 2010 when once again Eli Drake was plying his trade. And he also had this weird dummy catchphrase, and that was all right, but when you compare the two, he's clearly come of age. He also found himself in the mid-card down in Impact. I don't think anybody was going to make too much a fuss about that, but as the great Lance Storm said, if you want to make a good wrestling card, you have to have opening acts, you have to have mid-carders, and you have to have main eventers. Otherwise, you don't have a wrestling show at all. Well, I suppose if you do need a WWE equivalent, it'd be something like Bad News Barrett, because after a while, even though what he was doing was a bit funky-wonky, it just started to click. Because while the comedy was at the forefront, when you actually started to listen to this guy, you were like, man, he is delivering these lines with absolute fire, and because he did have these things that were fun to say, all of a sudden you wanted to say it with him. It started to become a weekly occurrence in Impact, especially when he did just absolutely unleash on his enemy, which is why it was a massive surprise when he was fired in 2019, because we were about to get a rockin' and a rollin'. The rumour was at the time that he'd fallen out with the powers that be because one, he didn't want to work an intergender match with Tessa Blanchard, but also two, he did feel like he was ready for the main event scene, and management said, no, we don't agree. So that was that. This is when round two of the criticism came, because we were in the era where every single wrestler was just absolute dynamite in the ring, and some people decided that LA Knight couldn't fit into those boundaries, which is why he actually made a very smart move and he went to Billy Corgan's NWA. I mean, it's important to remember at this junction that sports entertainment takes loads of little things to come together to work, but in the NWA, you were told to talk, you were told to have a character, and that's why LA Knight worked, and that's why Eddie Kingston worked, and that's why somebody known as Ricky Starks worked as well. And all of these guys, well, wouldn't you believe it, they've gone on to mega success. It's not like Knight smashed it there from day one either. He had to find his feet a little bit, which did happen when he turned up on the set, and he may have just been a little bit tipsy. This is when he did cut his shoes of a champion speech, when he did reference his footwear and say this is the kind of footwear that a champion wears, and then when he went to reference his jacket, he also said shoes of a champion again. But you have to go and watch this clip. The way he responds and the way he laughs it off, in just 1 second you go, pah, there's a superstar. And whether it was planned or whether it was a genuine error, it doesn't matter, because he just gets this wry smile on his face. And I don't think we've ever looked back, especially because soon after this, he found his way into NXT. And this shouldn't become as a huge shock because Triple H ain't no mug and he understands talent when he sees it. And when he got into that feud with Cameron Grimes, well, this was like entertainment coming at you tonight. I mean, adding a totally different angle to the usual very super serious promotion, having Cameron as LA Knight's butler, who actually enjoyed this role as LA started to melt down, well, I actually think at the time it was the best thing on the program. We also threw the $1 Million Championship into this, which made it all the more fun. And you just got to give a quick round of applause to both LA Knight and Cameron Grimes, because they just went, all right, this is our creative, so we're going to make it as work as best as we possibly can. And after a while, you couldn't deny he wasn't one of the major stars down there, which earned him a call up to the main roster. And all of a sudden, he was Max Dupree. Now, it's bad enough changing somebody's name when they do get to Raw, because what was the point of everything we had done? But now we were trying to make him a manager. And look, the guy could talk, but that's not the persona we created here. And everybody was really confused until we realized Vince McMahon has never seen this guy before. So he's just making it up as he goes along. And look, I do love the Maximum Male models, but even LA Knight talked about this on Insight with Chris Van Vliet, where he was like, well, I'm pretty sure they weren't fond of the fact that I was 40. And for a while there, I actually think I was fired, but nobody had given me my paperwork. Ruh-roh. It did feel like that as well because he vanished from TV. When, of course, Vince McMahon was moved to one side, Triple H was in charge, he took him back to LA Knight. And ever since then, we've been climbing that ladder. Dupree turned on Mansoor and Marseille before he told everyone I am LA Knight, when he did get into this very strange feud with Bray Wyatt. But because Bray wasn't on TV very much, we handed a microphone to LA and said, look, you've got to go out there and sell it. My gosh, he sold it like shit. I mean, he definitely maximized his minutes, but within the space of a few weeks, he had also told all of his haters that said you couldn't do it on a major stage. Well, he absolutely can, because now he's doing it in flubbing WWE. And that's the best place to do it, though, because in World Wrestling Entertainment, if you can talk, you are going to be able to walk. When these same criticisms came back, yeah, but he's not very good in a wrestling ring. It's not true. He's not the best wrestler in the world, but he's still more than capable, and even that's not fair. He can put on a good match. Also, when you care about someone, you care about them fighting. That is the point of wrestling, damn it. Even if you're some kind of a fish, if I think you're the best fish ever, and you're just flipping and flopping around, I will be shouting from the stands, oh, I want you to win, go fish. You know, everybody has to be a 5-star classic machine, because that would be boring. And again, when we turn to the WWE universe, a lot of these fans are actually more into promos than they are the grappling, which is another reason why he's probably doing so well. And he was always going to click with them eventually, and in that regard, go and watch Money in the Bank again, then come back and try and argue with me. Knight is also a super safe worker, and let's not forget that WWE appreciates that. And let's look at the long term here. No matter what we do with him, of course he wants to be hired for many, many years to come. At the moment, he is ticking a lot of those boxes. It's actually a huge feather in the man's cap, because actually, he doesn't need to kill himself in the ring to get a following. I mean, he's more than capable, but it's everything else that's turned him into a top guy. You love to see it. And you watched throughout the year too. I know he didn't win this briefcase, but I have decided that much like the Bloodline angle, WWE is trying to stick to their plans and stick to their stories. So if we get to SummerSlam and he doesn't become the United States champion, well, I will be very surprised and I will shave my head. So I really do think that bigger plans are afoot here, and all I have to say to that is, yeah. And I hate myself too. I shouldn't have done it. But again, I bet you do that around your house, there's something entertaining about it. So I think this has been absolutely awesome, and it's only going to get better as the months do pass. And look, maybe he does one day become the WWE champion, but But that isn't the be-all and end-all. If he is able to establish a massive fan base and he remains there until the end of time, well, you gotta give him a clap, because LA Knight will have made it. Now, of course, please do go into the comments below and let me know what you think about LA Knight at the moment. Maybe you don't like him, and you can tell me why. There's also a lovely video on the screen right here. Please do give it a click. Before you like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Then head over to whatculture.com, where we'll keep you up to date with all the latest LA Knight news, and you can follow us on social media at WhatCultureWWE, Simon316. Thank you very much for watching me and joining me as always. If LA Knight is watching this, I think you are a damn inspiration, and I'm very entertained by you, and I wish you nothing but the best. Not that you need it. You are going to fly anyway. This is me watching you fly. I'm a weird, weird guy.